Hi, in this video I show the simple and easy process of creating a website for a business in Germany. But many of the things I talk about also apply in general or even when you just target customers in the EU. So stick around. Whether you're just curious about the topic, self-employed or running a social media presence and want to have a more professional look, this video is for you. Maybe just as a warning. So about me, I'm Nojul. I recently started my journey as a solo game dev and I thought I'd share what I learned in videos like this. So maybe I make your life easier with it. So I made a website for my game dev stuff and I live in Germany and have to follow all the rules that go along with it. But I have a background in coding, so I thought it's easy, right? It's just a website. And oh boy, let me tell you, it's a journey. Like hiking in the desert without water. I mean, it's probably enjoyable for some madmen out there, but yeah, you will see. Just a disclaimer at the start, I'm not a lawyer and I don't have any legal expertise. So don't rely on any information given here, but rather take them as pointers of what you have to look out for. And consult a professional if you're unsure. Alright, this disclaimer probably gives you an idea what the most struggles are about, but it's not that bad. I mean, I can go for the joke with the AI vibe coder sharing his website as a link to localhost, but I think we are over that joke. So here it is, the website I generated with AI. I mean, the website creation is probably the easy part, but you now need to make it accessible somehow. Hetzner, Hostinger, Ionos, NeoCities, Firebase Hosting, Versal, Netlify, GitHub Pages. Okay, calm down. If you're like me and usually want to consider all the options out there to get the best, so this is where today's sponsor comes in. Just kidding, I mean, come on, I have 100 subs or something. I was planning to mention what I use, but I kept on getting these calls from a random number, seemingly from a hired telemarketing company with abysmal reviews. So I tried doing the same with any issue in my life. Ignore it and hope it goes away. But it was relentless and they cracked me. I mean, I looked up the number and it was seemingly tied to the provider I used, so it wasn't a full-on scam, probably. So when I finally picked up, they immediately hung up. And the next day I got an email from my hosting provider asking me if I'm happy with their customer service. This may have been a so-called ping call to get you to call them back so they get around some regulations regarding advertising. Probably somewhere in the fine print I accepted to receive such a call, but yeah, it's still a bit scummy. So yeah, be careful what you choose for a hosting provider and maybe just keep on ignoring your issues. On the positive side, I have the SSL certificate handled by my provider too, so I have this fancy lock because you want that on your website, even though it's static and doesn't handle any user data. But it still makes sense, for example, against man-in-the-middle attacks, hijacking downloads or injecting malicious code. But yeah, maybe you want to consider that while choosing your hosting provider. Same goes with the domain registration, and the email is also handled by them. And nojul.com with hello@nojul.com probably sounds more professional than the Gmail address you made 15 years ago. But here's the next issue. To register certain domain extensions, you may be required basically to publicly share your name and address, which you might prefer to keep private. I mean, there are domain privacy services that can protect your address, but this heavily depends on where you register your domain and also if you do it as a private individual or for your business. And most likely you still have to give your name and address and other info to the privacy service that can give it out in certain situations. And you can use a service that provides a legally summonable business address, which is required in Germany, but at least your name is still visible. There are also ways around this, but most involve third parties you need to tie to your business and are all a bit more complicated. But yeah, not sure if it's worth the hassle for just making a website. Remember, this video describes the situation in Germany, at least from what I looked up, and I'm not sure how it is in other countries. But the info in this video applies mostly also to any other EU country. Okay, I got that domain registration stuff handled by GitHub Pages, so I don't need to care about all this address and name stuff. Well, here's the next problem. The Impressum or Imprint. So if you have a website and are located in Germany or even just target German users, you will need it. And here you gotta put that summonable business address and name again. So using GitHub Pages doesn't save you the hassle here. So what is an impressum or imprint? It's a required legal notice you have to put in your website with information to identify who operates this website for transparency and accountability. So users and authorities can get in contact for legal stuff. And as a solo business, if you're just starting out, you may lack the funding to have your own office somewhere. And instead of putting your private address out there, you may want to choose an intermediate service that handles this. But be careful that it all complies with the regulations in Germany. So how do you create this imprint or impressum? Probably best to use a service that generates it for you and you just have to fill out the forms. But if you use a service like this, you should definitely let a professional double check it. So an example of one of these tools is erecht24.de. I have no affiliation with them, and please note there's no guarantee that these are completely legally correct. So best to have a lawyer look over your website before you publish it. So next up, GDPR. You probably heard it before. I save you the lecture here, but if you handle any personal data from your visitors, for example contact forms, newsletter sign up, Google Analytics, emails or even IP addresses, you most likely need a banner. Or some place for the user to consent to non-essential data collection. But regardless of essential or not, it is best and probably necessary to state all about the data in a special privacy policy section on your website. By the way, the nightmare of rejecting the legitimate interest of 1 million vendors all individually on a cookie banner is not allowed anymore. Because luckily for a short while now, it is required to have a visible reject all button if you have an accept all button. The regulations are a bit older, but at least in a court ruling from March 19, 2025 in Germany, it says website operators must offer a clearly visible reject all if they have an accept all button. But if you, and that's important, your hosting provider as well, doesn't collect any of these personal identifiable data, then you most likely don't need this annoying banner. It's pretty simplified here. There's a lot to check for the cookie banners. Obviously, if you create cookies on the user device, you need it. But you could also be required to get consent with processing or storing any data on your or any third-party server. In certain cases, you can get around having to add a banner when collecting anonymized data, which complies with GDPR. So you should definitely check if your hosting provider complies with GDPR, and for transparency reasons state how they handle anonymized data in your own privacy policy. For example, your hosting provider most likely wants to protect itself from attacks, so they store IP addresses, but to comply with GDPR, they anonymize the IP address. But yeah, this is still taking data from your visitors. So that's the second one. So you now need two sections on your website, the imprint and the privacy policy. The tool I mentioned before can also help with the privacy policy. At the very beginning, when I vibe coded the website, the AI put in the Google font as a URL. So when the user loads your page, it makes a request to a Google server, probably outside the EU, and potentially not comply with GDPR, which makes you have to add this annoying banner again. Because if they load the font through your website, the Google server gets their IP address. So you can just use the browser default font or download the Google font and check the license and serve it along with your website. Or this cool pixel art font I made. Hey, you get this font on my Patreon and you'd be supporting me with videos like this. Yes, that's better. So be careful with any resources that the user has to load from outside your website. And it's the same with using these social media icons with Font Awesome, for example. So if you're an artist like me and want to have a specific style on your website, you may think about having these social icons in your own style anyway. But I gotta stop you right there. But first the good news. I think now it's all GDPR compliant, but those custom logos, not okay. I mean, it's one thing for these big social media platforms to steal all your data and train their AIs, but drawing their logos even slightly different to whatever rules they came up with, that's a step too far. Honestly, I don't know if it's reasonable to think you get in trouble for something like this, but it's technically not allowed unless you get permission to do it. Which Meta, for example, does not even show any contact info anymore about this topic. So now everything is strictly according to the rules and good to go. Oh wait, we are already past June 2025, right?
Oh no, no, no.
The EAA European Accessibility Act, or for Germany the Barrierefreiheitsstärkungsgesetz, is in effect. These German legal words never look intimidating, right? But calm down. To keep it short, for this kind of website where you don't sell anything and there's no communication like forum or something like this, and there is no booking for reserving a seat to your show or something like this, it does most likely not apply. But accessibility is almost always a good thing, so check out the best practices for your website. So what do you think? Did I convince you to create your own website? Anyway, if you like content like this where I summarize my research on topics I stumble upon during my game dev journey, subscribe or even support me on Patreon. Hey, are you begging again? So please consider supporting me for more videos or cool assets like this pixel art background that you can add to your website that you are not making anymore because of my video.